Was Footbox TV, back with some more chat. This time, gonna look at some football talk. End of the season, we finally got here. So, uh, you know, game 38. It's been a long season. Season's finished in July. Obviously, everyone knows why. Had a big restart, but a lot of what people didn't think possible is finally happened. So, yep, as we go into the last day of the seasons, as you can see on screen, you've got literally every team is playing as is traditional, and as again, is traditional is normally on a Sunday as well. So that a lot of the games this season have been staggered to try at the end games after the restart have been staggered. No more traditional, maybe one midweek game now and again, and then Saturday and Sunday. Now it's been playing at like so many random times to get all the games finished. But we go back to some tradition here where everybody plays on a Sunday, and it tends to be around 4 p.m. And as you can see on screen, these are the fixtures left. So I'll just give a brief recap of, where we are in terms of uh, what the season has what's happened in the season, and then obviously we'll round up what's still to play. So just going looking at the tables. Obviously, as you can see, Liverpool crown champions, 30-year wait by quite some distance. Obviously, didn't break Man City's record. Maybe potentially the restart affected them, but they got there in the end, and now will be can Damon, it's either going to be a case, obviously, right now, it's a case of can they, um, regain the title? They haven't spent a lot of money, so we'll see what happens in the transfer window. Or potentially it's a case of can other teams catch up? If you look at the points difference there, what is that? 18 points, and if you think Liverpool have some sluggish performances since they won. That's a lot of points to catch up. So Man City, they're probably disappointed. They won the title by 98 points last year, so they have fallen off. They've had some key injuries. They didn't replace. They lost Sane, he's gone now. They didn't replace Company. They thought Laporta could handle it, but then he got injured. So that's kind of some big blows for them, which I'm sure they'll strengthen. As we go into it, we'll look at the top four. Um, that's still the race on, So there's two places left. City didn't get banned, so there's two places left, and it's really all to play for. Many would have said, "Man, you in the pole position. They've done well to come back from where they were." Chelsea, they've been consistently in the top four all season, and Leicester were always in the top four, and but their performances even before the restart have been poor, and now they're really up against it. But everybody's destiny is in their own hands. If we look at the fixtures, um, Chelsea have got a home game against Wolves. They get a point and they're through, so they've got no excuses. And obviously Leicester are playing Man U, and it's at Leicester's ground, so that's it, man. With obviously Man U, I think they just need a point. Chelsea need a point. Leicester is on. It's on their hands. If they win, they're in the Champions League. And so it's a big match. That's a big match. And Chelsea as well. We're looking going down now. Obviously, I think with Arsenal being in the FA Cup, it might only be top six to get that gets European football, as in 5 and 6 the Europa League. So obviously you've still got Wolves and Spurs challenging for that spot. Which obviously if Chelsea do beat Arsenal in the FA Cup final, it will go to seventh spot. So that will be good. So Wolves again, from last season, they had a great season. This season, they did struggle at times trying to mix and match European football on a Thursday. It's hard, it's not easy. And they haven't got the biggest squad, but they've got a great team. First 11. There's a lot of rumours linking Jimenez away. He's going to cost big money, but a lot of the top teams seem to want him. Obviously, you've got Jota, Neves. These guys, Torre now, he's really come to prominence. These guys are being linked away, but um, they're going to cost a lot. So will the project, even the manager as well, he might decide, he's really growing a reputation. So maybe this might be their one season. But I think with the way football's going, and I don't think anyone's going to be spending that kind of money. I'm hearing Torre for 130 million. I think they'll keep this team together. Obviously, they go to Chelsea and they'll be looking, well, depending on what Tottenham do, they'll be looking to kind of, get European football again next season. They still in the Europa League, which is all being played in August. So that will be good for them to have a run in that as well. So they'll be looking for that. And obviously Tottenham go to Palace. Palace have been really poor since the restart. Well, maybe like they're kind of safe, relatively safe. And Palace are like always they're one of them teams in the mid. What do they do? They're always gonna. They seem to be save themselves quite comfortably when it comes down to it. They've got an experienced manager, but they don't have that kind of quality. They've got Saha, but otherwise the quality is lacking. And considering they didn't spend money and they only got Ayu on a free transfer, and a lot of people were complaining that that was poor. They've done their target of staying up, and their performance have been great. So maybe this is a London derby, end of the season, anything can happen. But Tottenham will want to win that to get in Europa League, and obviously so they can hire more people. We look further down in the league, obviously the standout story has been Sheffield United. Maybe a bit unlucky not to get European football, but for a team to be promoted, they've done amazingly well, consistent throughout the season. Started a bit after the restart, but they've never been in trouble with relegation, which I'm sure that's their aim. They haven't bought any star players really. They've just got good, hard working pros. I'm seeing people like David McGoldrick still playing, and he's turned out games, gone fantasy football. Their defense is amazing. Obviously, the Henderson, he's the on loan goalkeeper at Man U. He's really come to prominence, mate. If they can keep him for another season, that'll be great for them. But yeah, eighth is a great position. They're probably the best, obviously the best standout performance team of the year. Um, I guess bar say Liverpool is Sheffield United. They've really exceeded all expectations, and had that break not come, who knows where they would have gone, because they were really in the ascendancy, and teams like Man U were struggling. And they've had the chance to get all their best players back. Leicester was struggling. They've had the chance to get their best players back. Chelsea was struggling. Wolves were kind of getting out of that, European football finish, but they were going to go back into European football. So potentially they were going to struggle again with both matches. And again, Tottenham as well. They had a big injury list. And again, they were struggling. All these teams have kind of benefited from the restart, where Sheffield United before this. So they'll feel themselves a bit unlucky in that aspect. Again, Burnley, another solid team. I think they've always been a good, solid team, like Sheffield United. So those two will it will be, they got left in the season. Yeah, Burnley got home game against Brighton. I can see them winning that because Brighton are not really playing for much. I'm sure they'll want to win. Southampton have been good standout performer, so that will be a tough game for Sheffield United. So maybe Burnley will just put them. But Burnley again, a great team. I think last season they had Europa football, so they struggled. So they'll want to. And unfortunately, if Man City had got banned from Europe, and obviously Chelsea, Man U, Man City won the league, won the FA Cup, and not Arsenal, you would have had it drop into eighth position. So one of those teams could have got in there, but as of now, I don't believe that's the case. Arsenal, they've had chopped and changed their manager, kind of a relatively poor season from them. So they're in a rebuilding process again. Still, what their priorities now is going to be FA Cup, to see if they can get in Europa League next year. So I don't think they're too fussed on the league, but they do have a big impact because they're playing Watford last day of the season. So people can't really complain. We've had a lot of breaks and there's nothing after, so maybe they'll put a full Trent's team in to kind of keep that, build some momentum. They lost to Villa, but who knows? But poor season from them, and they're really just going to look to rebuild. Everton, another team again, haven't kicked out. They've got Ancelotti as their manager. They spent big money. They've got some good players like Richarlison, but again, you'd expect them to be higher than 11th. They've been quite hit and miss, and next season we'll see what they can do. Southampton have been great. Since they got spanked by Leicester, was it 8-1 or 8-0? They've really just gone on a great run, pulled themselves out from the relegation zone, stuck together. Some great players. One of their players, I can't remember his name, has been linked to Tottenham. He wants to leave. Obviously, Danny Ings, standout performer, and he's still, if I look at well, I can't see it there, but he's still within, I think, 2 goals away from becoming top goal scorer, and that would be great. I always rated him at Liverpool, and he just unfortunate to have two cruciate knee ligament injuries. So, we'll see. Then if we look down, we've got Newcastle again, solid from them. They're in a bit of a limbo right now. They've got a good team, got some good young players like the Longstaff brothers, Shells, and they've mixed that with some Alaron, Saint Maxwell. Some good solid there. And then Dwight Gale, he's having a kind of resurgence, scoring a few goals. They've done well to pull themselves out, but again, it's where do they go? A lot of people didn't like the fact that Steve Bruce came as manager and he's done a respectable job. Probably gone underrated, considering the people are very unhappy that they got rid of Benitez, and then very unhappy they brought in Steve Bruce, especially as a lot of them see he has this defensive style. But I've always argued, if you can't defend, yeah, it's good. Then we'll get to a team of that. You know, if you can't defend, you're not really going to do anything. So yes, fans may say, "Oh, we don't want a manager to defend," but these managers like the Puleses, the Bruces, the reason why they get these jobs is because they know how to do the basic. And those basics, like Sean Dyche, Sheffield United guys, that's what they're built on. Even Ancelotti, he's built defensively though. That Mourinho, these guys are built like that. So you're not going to get any problems. Yes, the flair play. And to be fair, Bruce has brought that flair play to Newcastle with the Saint Maxwell. So I can't. So the Newcastle fans should really give him a lot more credit, considering as well so much speculation about whether they're going to get taken over or not. It can't have been easy for him to go through that in a respectable 13th position. Um, obviously, unless they lose and Palace win, they've got Liverpool next, the champs. Liverpool haven't really been, potentially that's a game that Newcastle might actually win because Liverpool might be partying again. So yeah, that'll be finish a good season. And again, Palace, another team, you know, should be given credit. They haven't really bought anyone. Sold Wan-Bissaka for 50 million, so that was good. Kept hold of Saha, but they bought Ayew for free. But again, respectable 14th, and they've never really been in trouble in that relegation battle. So yeah, good respectable finish for them. But again, when do they go next season? I believe Roy Hodgson signed a new contract, but the money's never going to be there for Palace. They're never going to spend big money to kind of get into the top 8, 7. So potentially more the same for them next year. West Ham kind of probably a disappointing season. Again, they've got a lot of money, and with there's just something about West Ham. They're so hit and miss. They've spent a lot of money. They've got some good young players like Declan Rice, but they've just never clicked. And again, they've got Moyes there now. Will they give him another season? I think so. Um, but they're safe in it. So, and obviously they were panicking to thinking they might get dragged into that relegation battle, but ultimately a great victory over Watford. And the same with Brighton, less money again, but they've managed to pull themselves to safety. So, good solid season from these guys. A lot of people were complaining when they got rid of Chris Hughton, considering he kept them up. And to be honest, he hasn't really been much of an improvement on Chris Hughton. I think they played more attacking football, had some good wins. I think they beat Arsenal at home. They've had some good victories, but you know, league position, I don't know about points, but in terms of league position, it's kind of still the same as last year. They was in a relegation struggle and they pulled out at the end. Probably didn't go. I think last year they went to the last game, so maybe a slight improvement. Um, so then we get to the bottom of the table. So this is again going on to what's still at stake uh, in the final game of the season. It's the relegation battle, and I would say before I start there, we'll just look at how these teams have performed. Norwich again, and this is where I say about defence. Norwich started the season great. Timo Pukki was scoring a lot of goals. They were playing attacking well. The pinnacle came when they beat City, and they came back actually against. Well, I think it was 2-1 and 3-2, 3-2 in the end. But they beat City, and they were getting raved about. But you can see here where their problem lies. Not only have they not scored goals, but 70 conceded. You look at Sheffield United, 36 conceded. That's nearly half. And it's all good scoring goals, but your defence really, you look at West Ham 61, Villa 66. Again, they didn't spend money, but that is defence, man. Defence really has to be sharp, and that's ultimately what's cost them, and they didn't score goals. Again, with Bournemouth, bit surprised with Bournemouth. Potentially the downfall of buying English players. They got a lot of English players there. They bought Klein on loan from Liverpool. They had Justin Ibe they bought. They bought Solanke for 20 million. They got Callum Wilson, who I do rate. They bought Harry Wilson. I think he's Scottish, but still another British player. The manager obviously is English. So they kind of went for that approach, and at the time it was being ranted and raved about with their attacking flair. Nathan Aki as well, but I don't know. It just hasn't really clicked from them. I'm quite surprised to see them in the relegation. They're probably going to get relegated. To They really need a miracle. They need to go to Everton and get a victory. Yes, Everton, nothing really to play for, but I'm sure at home where Everton are strong, there's no fans. Um, it's not going to be easy, and they've got to hope that results go their way again with Watford and Villa. So it looks like they're going to get relegated, and yeah, it's a bit of a funny one with Bournemouth. Like I said, they went for that all English, all British approach, and there was a time where Bournemouth used to play such good football. I remember when they beat Liverpool, they came back and beat us last minute or draw for us at 5-4, 4-4. They've had some good victories. I've seen them at home in their ground. So beat some top teams. I think they beat Man City and Arsenal and these top teams. So Josh King, these kind of players. I'm not too sure what's gone wrong. They've had some injuries, But I don't think. Yeah, but they've had some injuries, but no key injuries. I know Wilson was injured for a little bit, but they've always had Ake and players like that. I just think the guys that they bought, like the Solankis for 20 million, I think he scored like what, one goal, and it's not good enough really for a guy you're buying for 20 million, especially at a lower level club. You're gonna look at Saint Maximin. Newcastle bought him for like 15, 20 million, and he's performing so well. He's probably worth about 40, 50 million now, and that's the problem sometimes when you buy English players. They tend to be a bit overrated, and that's why clubs, like Newcastle, go for these foreigners, these French players, and same with Southampton. If you look at the guy the players they've bought again, they've got some English players there, but they went for that foreign approach, and it's kind of, I think you need to blend the two, whereas Bournemouth kind of didn't. So if we look at the last two's battles, it's going to be Watford. They've got Arsenal and Aston Villa. They have West Ham again. West Ham are basically, they are safe actually, so maybe they'll go on holiday as well. And this is a calmer match, and I'm really rooting for Villa. Villa spent the most coming up though. So if they do go down, it's not like for lack of trying. Norwich didn't really spend, and Norwich are like a yo-yo club. They won't spend, and then they'll go down, get that balloon payment for going down, and they'll just rebuild. In 1 or 2 years, they'll come back. They don't want to be like a Leeds who got waited 16 years, even got relegated to think to League One because they spent so much money that the club was basically like, oh, you know what, we can't. It cost them when they went to the Championship. Norwich are not like that. They haven't spent money. They'll get the balloon payment. Potentially, they could just come back next season. Aston Villa did spend a lot of money, and they would have been in a lot of trouble had they gone down. But it looks like they could be safe. Watford are just, and I think it's karma for Watford. Sacking their manager Nigel Parson. He's basically got the standout match of the season. They were 7 points adrift at the bottom when he took over, and he took them out the relegation zone. With 2 games left, they sacked them. Well, there's rumours there was some bust up. There was a fight. Troy Deeney's denied it, and he's another guy that's a bit annoying me. So potentially it's karma for him as well, saying he's refusing to play. Well, he doesn't want to go back to work. Yeah, you get. I understand he had concerns. He had a newborn, so let me not judge. But at the end of the day, people that's on £9 an hour have to go back to work, and a guy that's on 40, 50,000 was a week is complaining he has to go back to work. He just doesn't rub off well. But obviously, yeah, his life is at stake, so I give him that. But again, look, it's karma. But now Watford, they need a big result against Arsenal. They've done it before. They have beaten Arsenal at Arsenal's ground. They're going to need that kind of result, and they're going to need Villa to slip. And I would be happy if Watford did get relegated, especially for firing their manager. And it's so close as well. If you look at the goals, it is really close. Like, so they basically need. Yeah, it's not even if they both get points. So Watford need to win. Well, Watford need. It depends what Villa lose. So it's really it's close, man. It's going to be great end of the season for these guys. Watford, I don't know. I don't know why Watford are there. They've got some good players, some good players. Maybe it's all the chopping and changing with managers. Maybe it's buying too many. They've got Delafu. They've got Decore. They've got Deeney. They've got Welbeck. They've got Andy Gray. They've got some, Tom Cleverley was rated at Man U. But they've got some solid. They've got the Saar. And like I said, they fired their manager. They had the standout performance this year when they ended Liverpool's undefeated record at the time. Liverpool had a full team on, and we was playing Watford, who was in the relegation zone, and we was literally thinking, you know what, we're going to go the season unbeaten. And not only did Watford win, they convincingly won 3-0. Like, that was the best game this season. I don't think anyone, if you look at a match and say who had the standout performance one game, that is going to be the game, and it was Watford. So how their manager gets sacked, I don't know. And Villa, like I said, they've just come up, spent a lot of money. It took them a long time to kind of get going, and then they eventually did. And they bought a striker, and he started to score goals. But he's been injured now. He got a big injury, and that was a big blow to them. But they've managed, is it Trezeguet? He's managed now to score from crucial games. I believe 4 goals in like the last 3 games. The last game was a winner, so he's put them in a shout, and it's going to go either way. You want to give? If I should give a prediction, because obviously what's left is the race for the Champions League and the relegation. I'm going to give a prediction based on what I want to happen. I want Leicester, even though I think Leicester were in the top 4 most of the season and really would only have themselves to blame if they don't get top 4. I want Leicester to do it, and I want Leicester and Chelsea. I did think Man U were odds on, to be honest, but they had it in their own hands against West Ham. So I'm going to say Leicester and Chelsea. I think Chelsea will get a draw against Wolves, because Wolves are going to score. And you've seen the Chelsea defence, is it, 54 goals conceded. That says everything there. They can get exposed. And Wolves, they're attacking talent, and they're set up counter perfectly with Torre and Yota. So they are going to get on that score sheet. And then, so I would say, I'm going to say Leicester and Chelsea. I think Leicester will try to get the victory over Man U, but it's all to play for, man. That's the interesting. That's it here. This is it. This is the games. This game in particular is that's it. And then in relegation, I want Aston Villa to do it. I think it's karma for Watford. This yo-yo chop and changing managers. They think it works. Let it fail now. Maybe they'll change their approach, because you can't be firing a manager when you're 7 points adrift. It takes you out of the relegation zone with 2 games left. Obviously, yes, there's been rumours there was a fight, and if that's the case, then yeah, I can understand. But if that ain't the case, what was the point in that? Aston Villa, you'd say on paper, have the easiest task because West Ham will be on holiday. But West Ham, they beat Watford, got a good result against Man U. They seem to play better without their fans. It's still going to be a hard game for Villa, and obviously Arsenal. You don't know what Arsenal team's going to turn up. They beat Liverpool, Man City, and then they lose to Villa the next week. Are they going to try and win the game against Watford and go into momentum against Chelsea? Are they going to rest players? Who knows? That is all up in the air. But I want Villa to do it, and I think Villa will do it. But that's all up in the air. So those 2 games and these 2 games are the main games to look out for. Obviously, you still got some injured Bournemouth, potentially if both of them teams lose, and Bournemouth can, I think, what's the goal deficit for Bournemouth? If Bournemouth win, and obviously if they win and those teams lose, then Bournemouth will stay out of it on goal difference. So I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. And then obviously you've got the other games, so we've got some other games where, sorry, let me go back. We've got some other games where not really much at stake. Burnley might end the season on a high. Southampton try to end the season on a high. Newcastle, they're all trying to end the season on a high, but nothing much to stake. But it'll be some interesting games. So that's my roundup for the final game. And yeah, let's see where it goes. Have a break off in August. I think heading back into it September, and let's see. But those are the matches. Battle for the top 4 and battle for relegation. Watch out for Chelsea, Wolves, Leicester, Man U, West Ham, Villa, and Arsenal and Watford, and Everton and Bournemouth. Those are the matches to watch out for. Peace, guys, and subscribe for more football and boxing news. Thank you.